You are assigned to do a close reading of one scene of Hamlet, and you can choose any scene other than Act 1, Scene 1, because I am doing the demonstration with Act 1, Scene 1. Now, your task is to look at a minor character, so any character other than Hamlet, and for this close reading and also for the research paper and the paper that uses some research and mostly the comparison of two film versions, you're going to be focused on the way one of the minor characters conveys a specific theme. So that theme could be trust and honesty, that theme could be loyalty, that theme could be family, that theme could be power. So you could choose any theme that you would like. Just make sure that you choose a single theme and a single minor character that is the focus of your close reading and your essay. So you're going to start with a title slide. You do not have to put in videos. I have videos in mine, but I would like you to put some images in your PowerPoint. Particularly, I would like to see images from the film versions, the two film versions you plan to compare in your bigger research essay. So this assignment really is to get you started on that research essay by helping you think about the films, in particular one character and one scene that you're going to be using as comparison in that bigger essay. And also you're going to be using, for one of the slides, a scholarly source. So that should be helpful. So for the title slide, this should be no surprise. You will have your name and then my name and the class and the due date of the assignment. Next, you're going to have just the opening sentence. So how does your scene open? You should not say Shakespeare writes. You're going to give the character who is speaking and then give a verb that conveys how that person is speaking. Is the person whispering, do you think? Is the character shouting? In this case, I think Bernardo is shouting because he is on edge. He thinks he is seeing a ghost and he's on guard late at night when the ghost might appear after midnight. So he shouts, "Who's there?" And you're going to cite the text of the play by act, scene, and line number. And so look at the parenthetical citation there. You can see that I have Act 1 dot Scene 1 dot Line 1. And your first scene, your first line will be line 1, of course, and it'll be whatever act and scene you are doing a close reading of here as well. Notice with this parenthetical citation, normally if a quotation ends with a period or a comma, we say leave off the ending punctuation and just put a period at the end of the parenthetical citation. But when you have a question mark or even an exclamation point, you leave that punctuation inside the quotation, I guess because it helps convey more of what the feeling is in the quotation. So for a question, go ahead and leave the question mark there. I don't know how many scenes open with a question, but if yours does, make sure you leave that there. Now I want you to describe the relationship this character has, or describe the character. And because everyone has some relationship, or every character has some sort of relationship to Hamlet, the title character, you might want to include how that person is associated with Hamlet, or that character is. So I have Horatio is Hamlet's most loyal friend. In fact, his first word in the play is friends, a not so subtle choice to convey the role of this character. So then again, I just quoted one word specifically from one line of the scene. So I have Act 1, Scene 1, line 14, and I just used the dots to separate act, scene, and line in my parenthetical citation. Even from the start, Shakespeare establishes Horatio as a friend to Hamlet. Ultimately, the audience learns that Horatio is the reason the world knows about Hamlet and his story at all. Hamlet does not appear in Act 1, Scene 1. Shakespeare reveals in Act 1, Scene 2 that Hamlet's royal duty requires him to be at the wedding of his mother to his uncle. He is wearing black because his father has recently died, and he is still in mourning, while the rest of the kingdom, including his father's widow and brother, seem to be moving on from their grief quite quickly. So this is your slide explaining where Hamlet is in the scene. If Hamlet is in the scene, you describe what he's doing. Remember, your focus is on a minor character, so your character might be speaking with Hamlet, or your character might be in a scene without Hamlet present. So use the scene before or the scene after to see what's implied about what Hamlet might be doing at that time. Your next slide will reveal one theme that is prominent in the scene with textual evidence of that theme. So a direct quotation from the play with a signal phrase that introduces that quotation. So the first scene of Hamlet hints at the problem of trusting and truly knowing other people. For example, the scene begins with Bernardo asking who's there, to which Francisco refuses to reply and instead says to Bernardo, "Unfold yourself." Clearly, these characters know each other well, but there is an air of suspicion and distrust in the kingdom. The language Shakespeare uses suggests people, like great works of literature, have layers that may require unfolding to be seen. Likewise, people have different parts to their personalities, even as actors in a Shakespearean play might play a part. When Bernardo asks if it is Horatio approaching the scene, Horatio answers, "A piece of him." Using the word piece, a synonym for part, the character Horatio reveals that he does not allow everyone to see him fully in a possible double entendre. Thus, the play begins with a sense that no one can truly know another person, which makes trust and loyalty a challenge. So again, I have deleted or omitted the end punctuation here and put it after my parenthetical citation. I have cited Act 1, Scene 1, line 19. Again, the same here. After, for example, I should have a lowercase t here for the scene begins. So I added some transition words after and phrases after I had written the initial slide. So make sure you go back and look for those details. It's very easy to miss those things, even as I have done here. All right, your next slide, you're going to quote from Shakespeare one word that catches your attention, whether it's a word that you're unfamiliar with and have to look up in a dictionary for that reason, or if it's a word that's just used in a strange way. Maybe it's a word that you already know well, but it's being used in a different way than what you are accustomed to seeing. So do look it up. You're going to define it using an online dictionary, or you could use an actual dictionary. That's always encouraged. Actual books are great. But put the word at the top of the slide, and then you're going to write a paragraph that describes how the word is being used. You're going to actually quote the line from the text of the play that contains that word, then introduce your source for the definition of the word, quote that source directly, and then explain the significance of Shakespeare's word choice here. So I've chosen moat. When the ghost of Hamlet's father first disappears after refusing Horatio's request to speak, Horatio subtly alludes to a biblical passage when he describes his encounter with the ghost as a moat to trouble the mind's eye. In Act 1, Scene 1, line 112, as you can see. Then I'm going to cite the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, which is just an online dictionary. You should italicize the title of the dictionary, whether it's an online dictionary or an actual book. The Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary defines mote as a very small piece of dust. So I've quoted that directly. In Matthew 7:3, the term mote is used to describe a tiny flaw one easily sees in others while not recognizing the giant flaw in oneself, referred to as the plank in one's own eye. The use of such an allusion takes the theme of being hidden or only partly revealed to others and extends to the way one can hide personal flaws from oneself. Is it easier to lie to oneself or to others? The play explores answers to this question extensively. Not only is it difficult to trust others who do not fully reveal themselves, but it is equally difficult to trust oneself, knowing how easy it is to hide from one's own flaws. Hamlet struggles to trust himself or anyone other than Horatio. Now I want you to create a slide that showcases a literary device. Foreshadowing is certainly an easy literary device for someone who already knows the play, so because I know the play pretty well, foreshadowing was an easy go-to, but I could have used this same phrase here as a metaphor, or, I could have used it other ways. Maybe irony even would have worked. So I have chosen to describe the phrase prologue to the omen coming on. So an omen is coming, that is foreshadowing, but calling it a prologue is also a metaphor. So we have after first seeing the ghost who looks so much like the recently deceased King Hamlet, Horatio reacts with a flood of emotions about the ghost as an omen foreshadowing the demise of Denmark. He likens the ghost to signs other kingdoms have received, calling the ghost prologue to the omen coming on. Given that Hamlet is one of Shakespeare's best-known tragedies, the dramatic irony will be well understood by those who know the play. So list your literary device here at the top, the title of the slide, and then give the quotation that contains that literary device. Before you quote that line, though, you should set the context for that literary device, and then explain its significance. Here is the slide where you will cite a scholarly source. Hopefully you have already found a scholarly source regarding one of the minor characters in Hamlet. So here's your opportunity to practice what you might write as even a paragraph in your finished essay that will come later in the semester. So, of course, you need to start with a main idea for the paragraph and then introduce the person you're quoting, give that scholar credit by quoting directly from the source, and then give some context where you will include some evidence from the play itself. So although you will be watching film versions of the play, the words of the play are what is being spoken in the film. So you're going to actually continue to quote from the play using your textbook as your source. Horatio's presence when the audience is first introduced to the ghost of King Hamlet is significant. Keith Doubt, the author of Hamlet and Friendship, claims that Horatio serves as a stand-in for Hamlet's father, offering him more loyalty and support than any other character. Doubt writes, Horatio mediates between Hamlet and his father. Horatio's memory of Hamlet's father solidifies the friendship between the two. Horatio, in fact, is perhaps more an image of Hamlet's father than Hamlet himself. And then I just quote Doubt there, but because I have introduced him by name here, I could leave this off. And then I'm almost out of time for my slides, so I'm just going to let you see the sample online. Make sure you do the works cited. You will have the scholarly source, the word that you have defined, and also the Norton Anthology version of Hamlet. Notice that Hamlet is italicized because it's a play. So is the title of the textbook. And make sure that all the page numbers from the play are at the end there. So if you have any questions about this assignment, certainly read thoroughly the handout, but you are welcome to email me with any questions you may have. Good luck.